Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Monday! We'll wait a couple of minutes. So today we want to chat about eye contact. Everything you want to know about eye contact, what it's all about, why people use eye gaze. I actually really don't like the words eye contact because it's so limited. So anyways, my name is Macy and I am a long-time autism professional who's been working with autistic individuals of all ages for about 30 years now. And I started in this field doing ABA therapy. That's how I got into this field. So I know very well about building eye contact and all that stuff, and I'm going to tell you that working to get autistic people to use their eye contact using a reward system, and sometimes it's even more subtle, like adults pausing, using a pause to get eye contact from the little ones before they get the reward or getting their wants and needs. That's still getting the kiddos to use eye contact, and it's I think it's very harmful. So human beings use eye gaze as part of their communication. Hi. Good, we have some professionals here. So we're going to talk about eye contact, what it's all about. You can ask me questions about it. So eye contact is how professionals and how our kids, our clients are defined by their progress. So you see a therapist would say, oh, his eye contact's really good today, or he was looking at me frequently today, but that's all static, right? It's not really the client's spontaneous use of eye gaze. The client or the child is just looking at us because they know it's part of the deal. It's very unnatural to teach eye contact. Should we teach eye contact? No, we shouldn't. Oh, yay. Okay, so we met before 2006. Oh my gosh, 2006. We are now in 2020. It's such a long time ago. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We have to keep learning, right? Yeah, so in the old days, I was one of those therapists who would use M&Ms and holding it over here and trying to get the client to look at me. I probably trained you to do that like 30 years ago. It's not, do not teach eye contact. Do not teach eye contact using rewards and using static ways. One is not unnatural. Secondly, our clients, our child's eyes belong to them. Yes, so please don't teach eye contact. It's very harmful. Please stop. I beg you, please stop. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay, so let's talk about why teaching eye contact by giving a child a command, look at me. It's very minimal because one, the therapist, the child, the client only looks at the person when there is a command of look at me or look at this object. It's very limited. So when you think about the reason why human beings look at each other, hi Allison, we want to share our thinking and our thoughts. So autistic kids are being taught to look at another adult without any reasons, without any thinking, right? So let's think about really why do we need to look at another person? It's because maybe we want to share how we feel in the moment, right? Sharing our feelings. Maybe we are in a situation where we need to figure out how to solve a problem and we can't do it, so we look up to the other person to ask for, hey, am I doing it the right way, or are you confused, to check the status of how our partner is feeling, right? To get feedback, to get clarification if we don't understand something, maybe to share our emotions. Sometimes we look at each other, right? Hello, come on in. Yeah, so we don't just look at another person for no reason at all, right? So if there's no reason to look up at the other person, we won't do it, right? So for our kids, if they know how to do something, let's say they love puzzles, they're not going to look at you because they know what to do. There's no need to use their eye gaze. There's no need for communication, right? So keep that in mind. The reason that we use eye gaze as part of communication, because we, as the person involved, we have to think about what's going on in the moment. How am I feeling? Do I know what I'm doing? How am I feeling? And then we might check in using our eye gaze with our partner, right? So it doesn't, even with neurotypical people, you guys, when we're busy trying to solve something, we're thinking, we're gonna look away, right? So I challenge you to actually pay attention. When somebody asks you difficult questions, you're not gonna stare at the person. You're gonna looking away because you're thinking, right? So I guarantee you that's always gonna happen, because when we're thinking seriously, our mind's working hard, we're gonna look away. I do that all the time, right? And yet autistic people are penalized for looking away. Looking away is very much an important part of communication, isn't it? So do not teach autistic kids to respond to look at me, because that's very, very limited. And the danger is that your clients, your little autistic kids, will learn very quickly there's nothing in the world that other people can do if they don't feel like looking at the other person, right? So actually it's harmful. It's going to backfire in the long run. And remember, I've been working with autistic adults and kids for many, many years. I know it doesn't work to reward people to respond to look at me. So please don't do that anymore, right? Using our eye gaze as part of communication cannot be taught. It needs to be developed. So let's talk about that. How do we help an autistic individual to be able to use their eye gaze to communicate with you? Now, for moms and dads here, or if you guys are listening later, the first foundation is trust and feeling of comfort in the moment. So autistic people, because of their sensory differences, yes, it's hard to explain to parents who already know that looking is part of communication. Is there any journal to support this? Absolutely. Learn from autistic adults. Join Facebook groups that belongs to autistic adults. You listen to them and ask them about the use of eye contact. We don't need any journals. We have like hundreds of thousands of autistic adults who went through ABA when they were young, and they can explain to you how damaging it is to use eye contact, right? So I got sidetracked. So I was talking about, let's say you go for a job interview. It's an uncomfortable situation, right? It's going to be very hard for you to look at your interviewer, but you're going to do it anyways. Our autistic kids, clients, they are in that position pretty much like all day long with you as parents, therapists, teachers at schools. They know that eye contact is part of the deal, or they don't get what they want. It's very, very unnatural. It also drains their battery, their ability to sustain any kind of comprehension, motivation to just like keep listening, keep trying to understand, because their battery is being sucked up by that demand to look at another person. So Allison is autistic. So we have an autistic adult here who can answer your questions about eye contact, right? So this is exactly what I was saying, Allison. We know people want eye contact, so we can control it. We cannot control our kids' eyeballs and where they're looking at, right? So the reason that little kids do not use eye contact, because they're in a constant state of stress. Where does the stress come from? From just the world, from people talking really fast, they don't understand something, from all the sensory input coming from the world. It's very, very chaotic for autistic individuals. So just being every day, every single moment, it's hard enough for autistic people. And when we demand eye contact, that is not fair. It's just like, it's something extra that doesn't need to be part of that communication, right? So let's talk about how communication is different for autistic individuals. Remember, communication is two-way, right? So as adults, are we being engaging? Are we providing feeling of safety to the child, to the autistic individual? Can we provide a sense of safety to them so they want to be with us, just being with us? So probably for the therapist here, your clients know that they're supposed to perform in a certain way, and eye contact is part of it. That is not communication. That's asking this kid to perform for you. Very different, right? And that's why they don't use eye contact. Or if they do, you're forcing them to do it. It's very, very unnatural. And I guarantee you, they're not going to generalize eye contact. That is not how we use eye contact as human beings anyways. We use eye contact when we feel safe, when we feel happy, when we want to share the moment. Then depending on who the person is, the partner is, then we may share that moment by looking at each other. You see people in love looking at each other so much more because they're just sharing their feelings, right? So communication is two ways. So if you're asking autistic kids to look at you as part of the demands, and then there is the reward involved, that is not developing use of eye gaze for communication, because you did not communicate with them to begin with. So we, the adults, have to actually invite them. Hi, Anita. We're just talking about eye contact. Okay, so communication is two ways. So for autistic individuals, when we're talking, imagine we're talking to each other, right? So for autistic adults, and Allison, you can also help me out here. So it looks different because it might be that the autistic person is looking slightly sideways. It's not a closed loop. So if you're face to face, it's a closed loop, right? Sender, receiver, sender, receiver. When you're talking to an autistic person, yes, you might get these face to face, not just our face, not just our eyes, but our body orientation is part of the package, right? So when people communicate, we actually use our eye gaze, we use our voice inflections, we use our gestures, our hand gestures, also our body. So for autistic people, they may be going this way. You're like this, and they're going sideways. So it's an open loop, right? And that's okay. That's okay, right? But if they autistic people want to share the communication with you, they're going to stay with you. And that's what you have to keep in mind, that your child is hanging out with you. That's their way of communicating. I trust you. I feel like we can connect at this moment, and let's do it together, right? Remember, communication is two ways, but eye contact is just part of it. So Allison was saying animals take staring as aggression. That's right, Allison. And also people in Texas. When you talk to like a man to another man talking and you're staring at each other, that's a sign of aggression. That's right. So my cat, Allison said, my cat looks away the second I look at her. I understand the situation. I squeeze my eyes open and shut. Cats like that. If they trust you, they will return the favor. That's right. That's right. So trust, safety. So that's number one. Now, so if you're a therapist here, and you're wondering, like, how the heck am I supposed to get eye contact from my client? The first step is actually from you as the adult. So the adult has to actually stop talking. If you talk a lot and everything that comes out of your mouth is a question or instruction, nobody's going to want to hang out with you. You want your client to hang out with you. The activities doesn't matter. Right? So what are you offering as the adult that can communicate to your little guy that we are safe together? It's not about the client, but you are definitely part of that. That you're part of that pairing. Hi, Miss Halim. So keep working on this. So when you see your client next time, don't do anything, don't say anything. Maybe start with a smile. Bring an interesting object to share, a new book, a new ball, and just start playing yourself. So I really believe when we smile, we can change that chemistry, right? When we release the need to make our client or our child perform for us, then we're slowly reestablishing that trust. So the trust is number one, right? So so then you just keep engaging, practicing to be engaging with the client, and you'll see that when your client feels relaxed and you feel relaxed, you can share the moment, and then the autistic individual will look at you from time to time because the person is curious. What are we going to do next? Oh, this is really fun. You know, and in some autistic individuals, they just really rarely use their eye contact, but it doesn't mean that they're not being communicative. right? Yeah, so Allison is saying even with family members, the two people she trusts, eye contact is not part of the deal. But Allison communicates beautifully, right? So people, do not get stuck on eye contact. Please, 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 please. If your parents here, you're listening to this recording, ask your therapist to stop working on eye contact because it's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. It sucks up whatever little battery your kid has to be able to function in the world, right? Autistic people process information differently because there's sensory differences. So keep that in mind. So would you rather they understand what's going on? Would you rather that they're able to ask for help, share how they feel, versus like just everything is gonna come to them like chaos? So it's one or the other. Can't do both. All right. So Allison said that when autistic people feel intimidated, it's the nature is like they react to it, right? It's very, very painful and uncomfortable for autistic people. So that's really, yes. So Allison said that she communicates through writing and texting, and Allison also does beautiful photography. That's how she communicates also. Okay. So eye contact is not just the only way for communication. People communicate in different ways, and it's two ways. So you, as the adult, if you're not being inviting, you're not offering trust, you're not providing sense of safety, then that person, even with neurotypicals, it's the eye contact is not going to be part of the communication, right? So keep that in mind. So allow your child to look away. That's important because looking away is part of communication, right? And provide the context for your child to look at you if it's really, really necessary, right? If it's really, really necessary. So an example would be, let's say your child needs to go to the bathroom, right? And it's nighttime and the bathroom is dark, right? So instead of us, the adult, turning on the light switch, which we usually do, maybe you can get down on your child's level and spotlight, oh, it's so dark in here. Like same level, right? So you are initiating and positioning yourself in such a way that your child, your little one, can have access to your eye gaze, right? Why should we ask kids to look at us if we don't even look at them? Think about that, right? So when we are inviting our child, we get on down to their level, and we're providing contact. So you're in the bathroom, it's dark, you're saying, oh, look, it's really dark in here, right? And maybe your child is thinking, and when people are thinking, they don't need to look at you, and we want them to think, right? And hopefully when your child needs your help to reach up to the light switch, then your child will look at you because there's a need for mommy to help me to be able to turn on the light switch, right? So that's just one situation, right? So people look at each other when they are in a situation that feels safe to them and there is a need for it. And with autistic people, if you compare one person to another in the same situation, it's not going to look the same. Okay? So remember, communication is two ways, and communication uses different kinds of channels. So for autistic individuals, the eye contact is not necessarily part of that, the channels that they use frequently. So keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, so we have 5 more minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Questions? Hi, Ayati. Do you have any questions about... Hi, Mark. Thank you for popping in. We're just talking about eye contact. So Mark here, he is an autistic physical trainer, right, Mark? I'm going to interview Mark very soon. So we're going to talk about exercise and how important it is for autistic individuals to exercise and keep fit in different ways. All right. Yeah, so yeah, Mark, that's really eye contact is something that really make my blood boil because I used to do it, and then I realize now when I actually look away, I can sustain my social battery longer. So okay, so somebody's asking, how do I explain this to parents about eye contact when it's not Macy talking about it and just a regular therapist? Okay, you have my permission to share this recording. I'll upload this. I upload this video and give you the video, and you can share it to your clients. You might have to put some subtitles in Bahasa, right? But you know, for the therapist here, I appreciate you coming here and learning from me. We have to continue to keep learning. I'm continuing to learn. I love learning through other autistic adults because we have to learn from the autistic community we serve. So that's really important, right? So the old ways, the ABA ways, it was really, really old ways. So eye contact needs to be scratched out from your program, right? But if you can develop trust and safety, you will find that your autistic clients may feel like, okay, I have a reason to look at my therapist, or I have a reason to share the moment with mom and dad. But you just have to just stop requiring eye contact. It's not communication. People don't need eye contact to be able to connect with one another. So please don't do that. It's painful for them. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and talking. Okay. I have some questions. Joint attention. Well, joint attention is just that, right? It requires 2 people, right? So when you see little kids pointing to airplanes and all of that, it's because that little kid feels safe and feels connected, feel attached to the adult that this kid wants to share with the person. So that's joint attention. Otherwise, joint attention is another one of those that you cannot teach in a very static way. So ABA is very, very static. Joint attention, use of eye gaze, you have to develop slowly. Why? Because the wiring is different, right? So to initiate joint attention, we have to initiate first without expecting our clients to perform for us. Because otherwise it's not joint attention. It's just responding to that stimuli, that book or that toy, right? But we're not really developing the need for them to share with us. They don't want to share with us. We make them nervous. So why should they share what they're interested in. There's no need for joint attention if you don't trust the partner. That's right, Allison. My husband still has to remind me communication is 50-50. And autistics aren't to do 100% of communication. But I think autistic people are very communicative. It just looks different. And for non-speaking autistic people, like, you communicate in different ways, in a non-typical way, and it's valid. I think it can be 50-50. It just looks different. Allison, that's my take of it. I appreciate so much when an autistic person is sharing something with me, even though they're just texting me. I really appreciate that, right? Joint attention is different than eye contact. Eye contact is just responding to look at me, and then the person looks. That's it. If that's what you're talking about, it's very different than joint attention and social referencing. You cannot teach those. You have to develop them. Yeah, compromise. So I think as adults, we have to know the person and understand how the person is actually trying to engage and connect with you. And eye contact may not be a part of that, right? So it could be a person bringing something, maybe making a comment, maybe pulling your hand, right? That's part of joint attention. If it's spontaneous, joint attention is very spontaneous. It cannot be made, it cannot be practiced, it's spontaneous, right? So keep that in mind. Yes, so exactly. So Allison said that autistic people accommodate neurotypicals all the time. So neurotypicals have to learn the autistic individual's ways. So that's how we can really nurture two-way communication. Okay. So somebody's saying, what about school and other environment that are required to have good eye contact? Then you do your best to educate them. Really, we have to keep educating people, right? We do the best that we can. So for parents at home, hopefully after this, you don't do static ways to get eye contact. For the therapist here, scratch out all of the drills. So look at me drills, scratch it out. And stop talking about your client and defining them by the amount of eye contact they do. That's not really helpful. Okay. So teacher, we do need much better resources on what autism is for schools as well, right? But I think looking at the teacher should not be required as long as the child actually knows the materials, right? Hi, Soupy. Yes, we have to. Allison's right. We have to educate. That's why I do this Monday chat, because I just want people. And if you want the recording, I'll upload it into YouTube. You can have it. You can share it, because this is important. Okay? Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Have a good week. Have a great week, and see you another time. If you have any topics you want me to talk about, send me a message. Thank you so much.